Good morning to all of our viewers, listeners, wherever you are. Happy New Year to you. Welcome to the next chapter. This is season 2, episode 1 for 2022. Of course, we are coming to you live via the GIS television, GIS YouTube and Facebook pages, the Ministry of Health Facebook page, as well as a number of other social media platforms. This morning, our first show, my guest is Dr. Shawn Charles, Grenada's acting chief medical officer. And of course, Dr. Charles is also an epidemiologist by training with a lot of experience. And today we are going to be talking about Omicron, COVID-19, and where do we go from here. Dr. Charles, Happy New Year to you and welcome to the show.
Oh, let me first say good morning and Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everyone out there, all Grenadians. Wishing everyone good health and success, peace of mind for this new year. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. Doc, right off the bat, just a few days ago, Grenada confirmed the presence of Omicron on island, and I know that our response never really stopped. We had just had to make certain adjustments as we go along, and which is necessary. Where are we at this time?
Right. So, as you said, our response, all our activities never stopped. In fact, the mere fact that we were able to identify Omicron here locally is a tremendous achievement that should not go unnoticed. The Ministry of Health is always endeavoring to ensure that we attain and maintain the capacity to detect and respond and control this pandemic. In fact, our efforts to improve our ability to detect COVID, it has been occurring in a stepwise manner over quite a period of time. Grenada was one of the countries, one of the first countries in this region, a small region, to start PCR testing locally. We first started as a collaboration between the Ministry of Health and SGU Windref. Shortly after, we developed the capacity in our own lab to do PCR testing. Now we have attained the capacity to do genetic sequencing here locally, and as such we are now able to better detect these new variants of the COVID, and this one that we are discussing right now, which is Omicron. We are now in a better position, and we are able to detect, identify, and make decisions based on these new capacities that we have. So all of these are part of the incremental improvements in our whole approach to this COVID-19 response.
I think you made quite a very important point here, because in the past we had to rely on CAFA to provide that information for us, so that then, and it would take sometimes days or weeks, and it would somewhat hinder our response as to when do we up our game, what do we do next and so on. But having it on island, I agree with you, it puts us in a much more better place so that we can announce quickly, respond adequately, and there has been some measure of training where the sequencing is concerned.
Yeah, that is correct. Everything takes there's a process where our people must go through the relevant training and so on, and the same was conducted. And I must say that we have been collaborating with CAFA and University of the West Indies, and of course our partner who has been with us throughout this whole episode, Windref, because that is where we are doing the sequencing at present at Windref Molecular Lab at SGU. So it has been a journey of discovery, and a journey that has taken us to new heights in the scientific realm, and it's something that we are proud of as well.
Well. On that note, I want to offer congratulations to you, because I know that you would have also played a major role in spearheading that effort. So I want to say congratulations to you and to the entire team, management, and staff of the Ministry of Health, as well as SGU, and thanks to all of our partners for ensuring that we are able to really step up and respond to the need, as it requires. CMO, Omicron data and the potential spread. Before we go deeper into this, I just wanted to run, for example, our the data here. As of January 1st, right, we would have had 7 new confirmed cases, our active cases, and now 412. New recoveries stood at 8, and I must also point out here that with respect to testing, our testing positivity rate is at 1.6%, and the number of tests done today is 446. The cumulative tests conducted is 95,373. Take us through that, please.
Right. So, I mean, one thing that has been obvious is that over the past week, over the past 7 days, we have noticed progressively, the number of cases are going up. Folks would have noticed that over the weekend, the numbers seemed lower than the previous days. But that is simply a reflection of the fact that over the weekend was New Year's, Old Year's, New Year's, and so on. So not many people, not many people had access
to testing.
Right. All right. Today, as you know, we are back to work as normal, and as more persons go out there to know their status, whether they have symptoms or not, we anticipate that you will see a continuation of what was seen last week. All right, that the numbers of cases are going to be rising. Well, if you look at our recent history, Grenada was affected late August, sometime September, and tapered off in October and afterwards. We were affected by the Delta strain of the COVID virus. It was quite a traumatic affair. We had a rapid rise in cases. We have a lot of persons coming down very ill, and we suffered a number of deaths. And we developed community spread with that strain. We knew that for us to have another wave would have to be caused by another strain that is probably more contagious than the Delta. And here enters the Omicron. All right, Omicron was identified sometime in November, around the 11th and 14th of November. Declared a variant of concern sometime later that month, around the 26th of November. But that variant, because of its nature, it seems to spread, several times faster than the Delta virus. So we knew that this would potentially be the cause of our next wave. It did not take a long time for this variant to make its way around the world, and it did not take a long time for it to arrive on our shores. So from its discovery in November and being declared variant of concern, the following month, by the end of the following month, December, we were able to identify it here. All right, that is testament of just how contagious this strain is, and it's there. It's circulating around the world. I mean, I am sure if our if countries around the world start genetic surveillance, start sequencing like we have, they will discover, all right, in most instances, that it is probably already circulating in their communities. And this is where we are right now. All right, we are noticing increasing number of cases because we have the introduction of a new variant. All right, it is once again going to infect large numbers of persons if we are not careful. All right, it's very early to say just how bad it's going to be, but we just urge everyone to be vigilant at this point.
Okay, viewers, at this time, permit us to take our first break, and we will be back shortly.
Coughs and sneezes spread diseases, so cover coughs and sneezes, please. Not with a rag or bandana. They trap germs. When you use the rag again, you put germs on your hands and everything else you touch. When you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth and nose with tissue. Throw the tissue in a bin and wash your hands afterwards. If you don't have a tissue, cough into your sleeve or elbow. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are also effective in cleaning hands.
Remember, if you have flu symptoms, do the right thing and stay at home to avoid giving it to others. Remember, you can be infectious up to a week after developing symptoms, so rest up and take it easy.
Join the Government Information Service for a new health series, The Next Chapter, with host Keville Frederick, a program that focuses on important health matters, including the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 vaccination program. Get the facts about vaccines, hear the experts, join the discussion. Mondays, 10 a.m. on GIS Channel 22, the GIS Facebook page, and the Ministry of Health Facebook page. The Next Chapter: informative, innovative, impactful, healthy discussion addressing risk perceptions and more. Mondays on GIS.
Welcome back, viewers. Welcome to The Next Chapter with me, Keville Frederick. This morning, as indicated earlier, my guest is Dr. Shawn Charles, the Acting Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health, and Dr. Charles is also an epidemiologist by training. We are discussing this morning Grenada's response to COVID-19 and most so the presence of Omicron on island. Dr. Charles, just before we took the break, we were discussing how easily the virus can spread. And experts are warning that individuals should take this very, very serious because, of course, whereas it may not be that drastic as Delta, however, with rapid spread, health systems can also become overrun. What do you make of that?
Yeah, and this is correct. The thing is, this variant introduced a lot of uncertainty. It arose very quickly, and with our recent experience with COVID, we know that it was quite challenging. All right, and I mean it has been a similar scenario in many countries, but this variant did not give us time to consider all of the possibilities that can happen. So right now, when you peruse most literature, they're telling you it is still too early to say how serious this is going to be, because we simply do not have enough information to work with, and the uncertainty is quite challenging. Mm-hmm. It should be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. It should be taken seriously because we are not certain how, I mean, one country's experience might not be another country's. All right, so one country may experience milder, a milder progression of the disease, while another that may not have the same level of immunity, it might be worse. So that is basically where we at present.
And Simo, you quite rightly spoke about immunity likewise, which brings me to my next question, the issue of vaccines. Now, what is being encouraged internationally is that persons should get vaccinated, and not just get vaccinated, but also to ensure that you take your booster, because the data is already pointing to the fact that the vaccines are providing that level of protection that is needed. And we see our vaccination data, it's increasing. And even boosters administered to date locally stands at 2,455. And so just help me put this into context so our viewers and listeners can understand what we're trying to say.
Right. So what is certain is that vaccines have been proven to reduce severe disease, hospitalization, and death. All right. A person who is vaccinated may still become infected, because what we are observing is that some of these variants are coming with characteristics that the viruses are able to escape some of the immune protection. All right. So even if someone is vaccinated, they may still get infected. That is a possibility. Vaccines prevent severe disease, right? Prevent hospitalization and death, and they have continued. This has been a recognized fact, and this continues. What has been observed is that yes, over time the level of immunity wanes. Now, there's a lot of things we don't understand. Right? There's a lot of things we don't understand, because when you are vaccinated in childhood against certain diseases, those vaccines are not repeated into adulthood. All right, the level of protection that you get at that time, all right, remains. If you are exposed sometime in the future to the organism, your immune system remembers and it creates those protective elements, the antibodies and cells and so on, to protect you. Because COVID-19 has been a very recent affair, all right, 2019 to now, it has not given us enough time to understand whether this is the same,
right,
all right, with these vaccines. And that is what persons must understand. We do not have the luxury of time. We do not have enough time to see what the long-term benefits are going to be. So at present, what has been observed in the short term is that there's a waning of immunity, and as a result, a booster shot is a booster shot or a third dose is recommended to basically trigger or give you a little added push of protection.
So I was telling a colleague of mine, consider it to be, okay, you have a cell phone, you have $3 on your phone, but you have some important calls to make. So you know what? Just go and do a top up. So your booster somewhat top up your level of immunity. And from research from the NHS and CDC, a lot of emphasis is on boosters. I know we have started issuing boosters, and that's a plus. And persons are asking when can they get their Pfizer booster and so on. What's your take on that at this time for Grenada?
Right. Well, for Grenada, we are offering a third dose or a booster for example, for persons who 6 months ago have received the second dose of the vaccine. It is there. It is on offer. You can visit any of our sites and get your shot. All right. We have followed the science just like everyone else, and we make this also available to our population. And I mean, we do have sufficient vaccines at present to take care of the needs of the individuals who so desire.
Good. Let's look at Omicron again. Well, we're still on Omicron. What, to your knowledge, the prevalent symptoms? My understanding is that all of the symptoms will be present, but are there any dominant one that a person can maybe identify and conclude that they do have the Omicron? And why I'm asking this is because, again, concern is that a number of persons risk spreading the variant unwittingly by dismissing them as signs of the common cold.
The thing is, unfortunately, there are no specific symptoms that you can point to and say that someone has Omicron. All right, the symptoms can be exactly what you would experience with a common cold. You might get congestion and runny nose and a sore throat, maybe a fever and a headache. All right, maybe some sneezing and so on. You may experience these symptoms. All right, but like I say, everyone is different. Everyone is different. Everyone's level of immunity is different. So in a vaccinated person, there may be no symptoms, not just in a vaccinated person. In anyone, there may be no symptoms, because that's the spectrum. It may range from no symptoms all the way up to severe symptoms requiring hospitalization. It was a similar scenario with what happened with Delta. There were individuals who got Delta and had no symptoms, and then there were individuals that got very sick and died. All right, a similar expectation. Well, that is a similar expectation with the Omicron variant as well.
Now, how significant you would say is the importance of hand washing, the wearing of your mask, and social distancing, especially as we know for a fact that Omicron spreads very, very easily and quickly. And I'm asking you this because it's not that people do not know, but sometimes we have to repeat that because persons tend to actually think that well, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal.
Right. So I think in the public health community, what has been promoted from early in this pandemic is a layered approach, meaning several layers of interventions to, one, prevent the spread of disease and to protect individuals. The wearing of the mask, sanitizing, avoiding risky situations, these are measures to prevent someone from being exposed to the virus, or to expose to someone who is infected and can spread the virus, all right, and becoming infected.
Right.
So these are extremely important. All right, wearing of a mask and wearing it correctly. All right, especially when in the company of persons that are not in the same household. All right, washing and sanitizing of the hands. All right, to avoid contaminating yourself by bringing your hands to your face. All right, distancing, maintaining physical distance, avoiding crowded scenarios. All right, especially indoors. All right, all of these are designed to prevent someone from being exposed to the virus. And vaccination is the other one. It's for personal protection. Is that in the event you do get infected, that your body is primed, your immune system is primed and ready to fight against this virus. All right, give you a fighting chance. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
So right, and unfortunately, over the past few days, we have seen quite a number of persons dropping their guards. The different places and so on. And even shopping. And they were not practicing those protocols, especially as it relates to the wearing of the mask and the hand sanitizing. And my question to you, CMO, is that as an epidemiologist, and as CMO, how concerned are you? How much concerned are you at this time, knowing that what we are faced with? And when you move around and you see people like that, does it really bothers you so much?
Well, of course it does, because I mean the activities over the festive season. I can almost say that. Listen, probably the majority or a significant proportion of these encounters and the activities that occurred over the weekends and so on, they were mass spread events. All right, knowing the nature of COVID and the nature of this Omicron variant, many individuals went out, for example, on New Year's night and got infected. All right, and during the hustle and the bustle of leading up to Christmas and New Year's and all of that, many individuals went out and got infected. All right. Some of them may have just very mild symptoms, so they may not, seek medical attention. Some may be asymptomatic. Others know that they have symptoms. Many are going out to get tested today. The thing is, it is troubling because we are not living in a vacuum. It's not as if we do not know what is happening right around the world. All right. Yet we, constantly, we seem to repeatedly make decisions that puts us at risk. For us at the Ministry of Health, it is a great concern because we see the consequences. We see the consequences. We see young people going out there and throwing care to the wind, and we see the elderly relative comes in and suffer the consequence. We hope that at some point, persons can, I don't just realize the seriousness. All right, what you do does not only affect you; it has the potential to be very severe for someone else. So we have to think about, all these things. We have to be our brother's keeper. So that is why we are concerned. All right, we are concerned because we see the consequence. All right, we see the weaker ones come in and they suffer, even though they do everything they can, everything in their power to prevent themselves from getting infected. It just takes one person who could care less, and then it all goes bad for someone else. So, that is basically the conclusion of a lot of these.
I would add to that the harsh reality of it is that oftentimes the person who brings it home, they do not really suffer so much to end up on the ward and God forbid lose their life, because we have seen that again from Delta, from our recent experience, whereby is the elderly people mostly so, and the ones who are affected either by diabetes, or cancers and kidney failure and so on. They're the ones who are really, if you want to say, predisposed then, And of course, for me too, it is troubling. And which brings me to my next question, CMO. How much prepared are we with respect to dealing with a possible surge at our community centers as well as at our hospital?
Well, in some ways, we are better prepared because we have the experience of the surge in Delta, and we saw what we needed to do to get that under control. So we are, like I say, we are more experienced. and we feel that we can face this new surge with a bit more confidence. All right, we still have certain deficiencies. Human resource is always quite a challenge when you face a surge, and especially if some of your very staff get infected and they themselves need to go into isolation and all that. But I mean, all in all, I think, like I say, the experience that we've had recently have given us more confidence, and now we know what we need to do. We just wish that everyone else would realize that, listen, this thing is serious.
Yeah.
And let us avoid situations where we can overwhelm our frontline staff once again.
Okay. All right, good. Viewers, we are going to take our final break at this time. When we come back, we are going to look at some of the myths. We are going to also share with you what we know as the facts, and we encourage you to stick and stay to the next chapter. We will be back after this break.
The Government Information Service for a new health series, The Next Chapter, with host Keville Frederick, a program that focuses on important health matters, including the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 vaccination program. Get the facts about vaccines, hear the experts, join the discussion. Mondays, 10 a.m. on GIS Channel 22, the GIS Facebook page, and the Ministry of Health Facebook page. The Next Chapter, informative, innovative, impactful, healthy discussion addressing risk perceptions and more. Mondays on GIS.
Stop the spread of germs that can make you and others sick. Cover your nose and mouth with a tissue when you cough or sneeze. If you don't have a tissue, use your elbow. Wash hands often, especially after coughing or sneezing into a tissue.
Are you gonna wear your mask today? You see everywhere you go, there are rules you got to follow, so don't you say COVID-19 will delay. Take the opportunity to save your community. Don't be that guy, put a mask on your face if you're heading outside. It's your life, my life, more lives will be taken if we don't try. If you feel any symptoms, call the hotline. Stay inside until you feel fine. 6 feet away every day. Keep COVID-19 far from away. Keep Grenada safe. Be COVID-19 smart.
Coughs and sneezes spread diseases, so cover coughs and sneezes, please. Not with a rag or bandana. They trap germs. When you use the rag again, you put germs on your hands and everything else you touch. When you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth and nose with tissue. Throw the tissue in a bin and wash your hands afterwards. If you don't have a tissue, cough into your sleeve or elbow. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are also effective in cleaning hands.
I am diabetes, I am not your friend. I think it's time for this thing to end. I was with you from a long time ago, long before you lost your big toe. You fed me with fat and carbohydrate food, but now you realize I was up to no good. Diet and exercise is what I say, that is the only thing to keep me away. Fruits and vegetables is advice to give. With that kind of menu, I just can't live. Walk, swim or dance, you can also do, so I wouldn't be a burden to you. Diabetes does not like you. It is not your friend. Get to know more about this enemy. A message from the Grenada Diabetes Association.
Join the Government Information Service for a new health series, The Next Chapter, with host Keville Frederick, a program that focuses on important health matters, including the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 vaccination program. Get the facts about vaccines, hear the experts, join the discussion. Mondays, 10 a.m. on GIS Channel 22, the GIS Facebook page, and the Ministry of Health Facebook page. The Next Chapter, informative, innovative, impactful, healthy discussion addressing risk perceptions and more. Mondays on GIS.
Welcome back, viewers. Welcome to the next chapter with me, Keville Frederick. Just to let you know that we are streaming live on the GIS television, channel 22, GIS YouTube and Facebook pages, the Ministry of Health Facebook page, likewise a number of other social media platforms. This morning, I have been speaking with Dr. Shawn Charles. Dr. Charles is Grenada's acting chief medical officer and an epidemiologist by training. Now, as you know, Dr. Charles is no stranger to us, and he has been leading this fight likewise for quite some time with respect to our response with COVID-19. Dr. Charles, of concern to some people is the whole issue of testing, the availability of testing, and where can they get tested, as well as the different type of tests that we offer. So let's look at it in this format first. Where can persons go and get tested now?
So persons can get tested at the local health center medical station. Now, we do two types of testing, right? We do the antigen testing, where the individuals would get the results generally within 15 minutes. And we also do PCR testing, which is done at our lab. So they may collect the sample at your health center or medical station, but that sample has to be sent to General Hospital, and it has to be processed in a PCR machine, and the results generally take between 24 hours up to 3 days, because the PCR it's a long and intensive process. So these are the two types of tests. Now, the testing that we do in the community to identify individuals who are infected, and for persons to know their status and so on, that testing is done at no cost. Now, of course, there are also individuals who are seeking testing for travel purposes and so on. That test is paid for, right? And the cost of the PCR test at the government lab is $135 EC, and the cost of an antigen test is $50 EC, right? That is for those individuals who are doing the test and they need to have that official result for travel. But the other testing that we do in the community, because someone has symptoms or someone, they were exposed, so they would like to know their status, so that they can protect their family, and that is offered at no cost in our network of health facilities in our communities.
So I am feeling a bit sick. My temperature is up. I can go to the health center and speak to the nurse, request that I get tested, and nurse will then carry out a test on me. Is that the same as with the nasal swab, or is it different?
Right. So the swabbing is how we collect the sample. All right. The swabbing is not the test. The swabbing is how we collect the sample. All right. And that is done with a small and narrow brush. All right. That is inserted in the nose. Whether it's for antigen or for PCR, this is how we collect the sample. All right. The testing itself is carried out either on the testing cassettes for the antigen test, or in the lab where the PCR test is done.
Right. Now, what does the antigen test really detect?
Right. So the antigen test detects proteins that form part of the structure of the virus. Right? So that's what the antigen test does. So if the virus is present, all right, and at insufficient quantities or at a certain level, the test is able to detect the proteins of the virus. So if the virus is not there, the proteins of the virus will not be there.
Right.
If the virus is there, the proteins are there, the test detects it. The PCR test detects the genetic material, the RNA of the virus, all right, which is different to the proteins. All right, so the PCR detects the RNA, which is the genetic material of the virus. All right, and that is the difference between the two.
Right, and so now when we go to the facilities, that is whether you go to St. John, St. Mark, St. Patrick, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, St. David, wherever, we have trained staff and we have enough supplies to carry out the various tests, so that persons should actually feel comfortable going there. And I'm asking you this not because I do not know, but I'm asking you this because I really wanted you to really emphasize the importance of knowing your status. We have been driving this campaign likewise for persons to know their status, as just as how we encourage persons to know their numbers for diabetes and hypertension. At this time, CMO, how important it is, you think, for individuals to know their COVID-19 status?
All right, so let me just say that since the onset of this pandemic, our staff have been out there, they have been testing, they've been contact tracing, they've been doing everything. All right, they've been treating cases. So our staff right now is well experienced. They're a bit tired, of course, because this pandemic has dragged on far longer than anyone probably in this world has ever thought. But they're very experienced, and they can and they are able to offer the testing in a most professional manner. So anyone who desires to know their status should go out and get tested. Now, it is very important that persons know their status, especially if they were in scenarios where they could have been exposed and they could be infected. All right? It is important to know your status so that you can make the right decisions for yourself and for the people around you. All right? You do not want to carry COVID home to a weak relative or to a friend or to a work colleague who may not be as strong as you are, all right, and may suffer some very severe, complications as a result of contracting COVID from you. All right, it is not something that any responsible person wants on their conscience. So that is why it's important. It is information to allow you to adjust your behavior. All right, and that is why it is important.
Okay. Simo, I on the issue of testing at the Maurice Bishop International Airport, quite a number of persons are asking that question on our social media platforms. What about testing for persons coming into the airport? What can you share with us at this time?
All right. Testing is done for everyone over the age of 5 who come in to Maurice Bishop International Airport. The testing is done for most individuals on site at the airport, and we do have arrangement with, I think, maybe 2 other locations where those individuals also get tested. So everyone who's coming in that is over the age of 5, you do get a PCR test, and we do a PCR test on arrival in Grenada.
Right. And is that for whether or not you are vaccinated?
That is for whether you are vaccinated or not.
Right. Now, can persons also get tested like at home?
Right. So I know that in many countries there are home kits that they can use for testing. Unfortunately, we don't have home kits that we can send out to persons. And the thing is, frankly, at present, it is a bit difficult to get access to these because of the surge in testing, worldwide. So at present, we do not have home kits, but we have testing kits that, like I say, are deployed at our health centers and medical stations where persons can go and access.
Right. Recently, CMO, I know that what we did was that we put together a home care kit. Just again for the benefit of our viewing audience, just tell us some of the things that are in that home care kit.
Right. So for persons who were found to be positive, and particularly those individuals who have underlying health issues that places them at risk for severe disease and so on, we have some small home kits. The kits contain information leaflets. All right, so it provides information about the disease, how to take care of themselves at home, how to protect themselves. All right, how to be in a home, right, and protect yourself from protect others in the home from getting COVID, and basic treatments, what to do if you have fever, and things like that. So that is contained on that information leaflet. We also have a pulse oximeter to check the level of oxygen saturation, thermometer, and there may be other things like maybe some vitamins or so, based on availability. All of this is to allow persons to be able to monitor themselves at home, and if certain signs appear, like a fever that is not subsiding, all right, seem to be getting worse, or an oxygen level that is dropping, that these things can be detected early by individuals, because the information leaflet also contains information on the warning signs.
Okay, good.
All right. So the individuals are given this information so that if any of these things appear, they can quickly seek medical attention and avoid getting, very, very ill.
And all of this is offered free to persons.
Yes, all of these are offered at no cost to persons.
Great. Finally, CMO, on the home testing kits that some people are speaking about right now, I would like to be clear on it. Is the ministry accepting that test for travel, for example?
No, the Ministry of Health does not accept home care tests for travel. In fact, to come into Grenada, you need to have a PCR test that is done within 72 hours. There are no PCR tests that are done at home. All right, these are done by certified labs. Those home care tests are basically antigen tests.
Right.
All right, and we do not use antigen tests for travel into Grenada.
I ask you this question again because of a number of queries and questions that are coming to us. I think I also shared one with you last week, and I had to ask you, are we accepting that? And you just answered it here again, and I am happy that you are consistent in your answers, because we are not deviating from it. We are only accepting PCR tests taken within the specified time.
That is correct.
Good. Well, CMO, this brings us to the end of today's show. I thank you so much for all of the information you have shared here with us. I want to continue to say that, having you as one of our champions at this time, I always tell people, it has been a very, very big blessing for us to have someone who is an epidemiologist by training, a general practitioner, and also our CMO leading this fight. CMO, thanks again for the good work that you have been doing. I wish you well. I hope that 2022 will really bring a lot of success to you, and to your family, and also to the Ministry of Health, which you continue to provide a lot of good advice to really benefit the citizens of this country. And I want to say also thanks to all of our healthcare providers, all of our members of staff, whether you are a nurse, doctor, auxiliary, or environmental health team, and also to the wardens, and just about everyone who has been supporting us in our ongoing response. I would like to say thank you and have a happy, healthy, and safe new year. On that note, viewers, I would like to also thank you for taking the time off to be here with us this morning on our first show for 2022. I do look forward to seeing you next Monday when we will have another episode of The Next Chapter. Until then, I am Frederick, and I am going to appeal to you again. Get vaxxed, it's your best shot. So long.